Following her death last Friday, September 18th of 2020, much of the news has been filled with stories and items related to the late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsberg. Her career was indeed impressive, and her influence has been felt in many areas. As some would say, she left her mark on the world. As human beings, we are both fascinated and drawn to people who exude power, determination, and the ability to connect with those around them. Those folks seem to paint life in bold, vibrant strokes. Their personalities and actions motivate us to follow them and perhaps, in some small way, leave our own mark on those around us. Many times, however, our lives look like pencil sketches next to a masterpiece. The wise man of Ecclesiastes shares an interesting perspective to this phenomenon. He says in Ecclesiastes chapter 1 in verse 11, "There is no remembrance of earlier things, and also of the latter things which will occur, there will be for them no remembrance among those who will come still later." He adds this in Ecclesiastes chapter 2 and verse 16, "For there is no lasting remembrance of the wise man as with the fool, inasmuch as in the coming days all will be forgotten." Yes, there will be references in history books to come, just as things from the past are also remembered. However, within a short time, the news headlines will carry other names. I do not intend to take anything away from Mrs. Ginsberg, yet I can only think of one person whose life affected not only the people of his time, but for centuries to come. His name is Jesus. I could talk for a long time extolling the things of his life, but allow me to simply share a short adaptation of a sermon given in 1926 by Dr. James Allen Francis, entitled "One Solitary Life." Here is a man who was born in an obscure village, the child of a peasant woman. He grew up in another village. He worked in a carpenter shop until he was 30. Then, for 3 years, he was an itinerant preacher. He never owned a home. He never wrote a book. He never held an office. He never had a family. He never went to college. He never put his foot inside a big city. He never traveled 200 miles from the place he was born. He never did one of the things that usually accompany greatness. He had no credentials but himself. While still a young man, the tide of popular opinion turned against him. His friends ran away. One of them denied him. He was turned over to his enemies. He went through the mockery of a trial. He was nailed upon a cross between 2 thieves. While he was dying, his executioners gambled for the only piece of property he had on earth, his coat. When he was dead, he was laid in a borrowed grave through the pity of a friend. Over 20 long centuries have come and gone, and today he is the centerpiece of the human race and leader of the column of progress. I am far within the mark when I say that all the armies that ever marched, all the navies that were ever built, all the parliaments that ever sat, and all the kings that ever reigned put together have not affected the life of humankind upon this earth as powerfully as has that one solitary life. It was not just his life. His death, burial, and resurrection continue to bring hope and change to people's life. His message then and now was simply this: "Come to me, all who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls." Matthew 11:28 through 29. That rest is not just for a few, but for all who will come to him. May God help and bless you as you consider His life and the life He can bring to you. God bless.